Hello. In this session, we will look at the Terraform Cloud provider credentials. In the last session, we looked at how you can create your workspaces and then how you can integrate our Terraform Cloud with the version control system. However, by default, your Terraform Cloud will not have the access to authenticate to the respective cloud provider and create the infrastructure for us. Okay. So in this session, we will be talking about what are the options we have as part of your provider credentials, and then we will also talk about the steps that we can follow to create the credentials. So this is just an overview and introduction kind of a thing. In the next session, I'll show you an example as to how you can configure the credentials so that Terraform Cloud can authenticate to AWS in our case, and use that credentials to create the infrastructure for us. So to start working with the Terraform Cloud, we will need to first configure the credentials. So we'll need to specify the credentials so that the cloud platform can authenticate to the respective cloud platform to create the resources for us. So there are different ways that you can configure the credentials. So one is you can make use of the static credentials in the workspace to authenticate. However, this will present a security risk even if you're rotating the credentials regularly. So if you're talking about static credentials, we can make use of your access key and secret key. We can define that within the workspace and we can use that. However, Terraform Cloud does not recommend using that, mainly from the security perspective. So Terraform Cloud recommends using dynamic provider credentials, which helps to improve the security posture by letting us provision new temporary credentials for each run. So what happens with your static credentials is that your access key and secret key will remain the same until you don't go and change those credentials. So your credentials are basically static, all right? But with your dynamic credentials for each run, like for example, every time I go and plan and apply the configuration files, temporary credentials will be created, and Terraform Cloud will use that for authenticating to the cloud platform. So we can configure dynamic credentials for each Terraform Cloud workspace. Now this workplace eliminates the need to manually manage and rotate the credentials across the organization. So the advantage that you have here is you don't have to manage the credentials, you don't have to rotate or generate new credentials every, like, let's say 30 days or 60 days. So this also lets us use the cloud platform's authentication and authorization tools to scope permissions based on metadata such as runs, phase, the workspace, and the organization. Now, how does this dynamic credentials work? So we configure a trust relationship between the cloud platform and the Terraform Cloud. So here we basically create a relationship, a trust relationship between the cloud platform and the Terraform Cloud platform. As part of the process, we can define rules that let Terraform Cloud workspace and runs access specific resources, and then the following process occurs for each Terraform plan and apply. So here is the process that generally a Terraform Cloud follows to authenticate to the respective cloud platform. So Terraform Cloud generates a work identity token. So this token is compliant with OpenID Connect protocol standards and includes information about the organization, workspace, and run stage. Post that, when a plan or apply begins, Terraform Cloud sends the workload identity token to the cloud platform along with other information needed to authenticate. Now, after that, the cloud platform will use the Terraform Cloud's public signing key to verify the workload identity token. And if the verification succeeds, the cloud platform returns a set of fresh temporary credentials for Terraform Cloud to use. Now, Terraform Cloud sets up these credentials within the run environment for the Terraform provider to use, and then Terraform plan or apply proceeds. And then finally, once your plan or apply is completed, the run environment is stored down and the temporary credentials are discarded. So ideally for this, we will be setting up your OpenID Connect protocol, and there will be a certificate associated with it. So what Terraform Cloud does is it generates a workload identity token which will be sent to the cloud platform. Now cloud platform will validate that cloud identity token, the workload identity token, and using that it will generate temporary credentials for us, and those temporary credentials will be passed on to your Terraform Cloud. Terraform Cloud will use those temporary credentials and run the plan or apply for us. And once the plan or apply is completed, the temporary credentials will be destroyed, and again the cycle will continue on the next run. So let's say again if we want to run the plan or the apply, again your Terraform Cloud will use this work identity token, go to the cloud will generate the credentials, give it to the cloud, Terraform Cloud, and Terraform Cloud will use that to run the plan or the apply for us. Okay, so this is how your dynamic credentials will work. So using dynamic credentials in a workspace requires the following steps for each cloud platform. So first is you will have to set up a trust relationships. Like in this case, you will be using this Open ID Connect to set up a trust relationship. So you must configure a relationship between Terraform Cloud and other cloud platform. The exact details of this process will be different depending on the cloud platform. Then you will need to configure the cloud platform access. So basically the permissions. So you must configure roles and policies for the cloud platform to define the workspace's access to the infrastructure resources. So first we create an OpenID Connect, and then we define the permissions as to what that OpenID Connect can do on your behalf. And then we finally provide those details in the Terraform Cloud workspace. So you must add specific environment variables to the workspace to tell Terraform Cloud how to authenticate to other cloud platform during plans and applies. Each cloud platform has its own set of environment variables to configure dynamic credentials. The process for each step is different for each cloud platform. So you can configure dynamic credentials for the following platforms. So you can make use of your Vault. You can set up credentials for AWS, for Azure, and for GCP. Okay, so this is basically just an introduction as to how we can make use of the dynamic provider credentials so that your Terraform Cloud can authenticate to the respective cloud platform to create the resources for us. So in the next session, I will show you how you can set this up, the dynamic provider credentials, so that your Terraform Cloud can use that to authenticate to the cloud platform and create the resources for us. That's all for this session. Thank you. Once again, before you leave, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and if you like the video, leave a like and please share the video.